All right. Good morning. Good morning. And good morning. Happy Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Two Lawyers Talk Legacy, where today we will talk about the topic temporarily in existence, planning for the expected. And you know what? When you got to do something that you don't want to do, you got to get a little something going. Get ready. So we
Hey,
got to get ready to get uncomfortable a little bit and be in a different mindset. It's a
right.
lot of times difficult for us to get away from this idea. And, sometimes we have to pull ourselves back a little bit to do so. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I know it's a play on words, but the truth of the matter is, we are temporarily in existence, right? Say it another way, we ain't going to be here always.
that's facts. That's facts.
So, but shout out to Jamie Foxx, who has resurfaced in a very positive way. He was seen boating in Chicago, and he gave a statement finally to all of his fans that he just didn't want people to see him with tubes running in and out of his body. He didn't know what his state of, if he was going to make it. So he couldn't really assure anybody else at that point. And you know what? I guess I can understand from that point of view why he kind of, went off the radar.
I mean, I think the pushback that people have that I've, listened to various perspectives on this is just when you're a public figure and you spend so much time in the social space, giving people all of your, behind the scenes kind of and sharing your life, when something like this happens, unfortunately, there's a pocket of your fans that is going to be maybe a little unreasonable and wanting to know all the inner details.
Hmm.
But it's the hard piece that comes with being in the social realm. It's that you want to share, well, guess what, they want to know. And unfortunately you can't turn off that they want to know mode at all. Good morning, Rigo. Thank you so much for tuning in with us on Facebook.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
our Facebook crew
Rigoberto.
and our LinkedIn
Yes.
people and our YouTube folks for tuning in. But today we thought we would first do a little follow up on this Jamie Foxx issue, and share a little bit with you about his positioning on this whole issue. So let's cue up this video here and see what Jamie Foxx has to say. Because Jamie says, "Look, y'all, be careful.
Y'all didn't want to see me like that.
Y'all didn't want to see me like this." So let's see what they had to say here.
Well, after Jamie Foxx gave his first public statement on a mysterious illness that left him hospitalized recently. Fox was admitted to the hospital in April with a medical complication that still hasn't been revealed. Here's what Fox had to say about the last 3 months and the rumors surrounding his illness.
Sometimes things, get out of hand. People saying what I got. Some people said I was blind, but as you can see, the eyes are working. The eyes are working just fine.
Now I'm really done with you, Jamie, with these eyes. I know that
Gee,
you are a comedian at heart, but come on, Jamie.
Jamie, your eyes might get stuck like that, bro.
I can't. This is when comedians, it doesn't matter what's going on, they'll find something funny, I'll tell you.
Said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed, uh, but I did go through. I went to hell and back, and my road to recovery had some potholes as well. But I'm coming back, and I'm able to work. So I want to thank the people that let me work, and I just want to say,
Now, I'm going to pause here for the work part because there was a comment made by someone who was doing a review of this Jamie Foxx situation, and they were saying that it's a little bit interesting that he's coming out when I think it's either a film or a TV show is coming out that he's in. So, is this I'm really coming out because I want to talk to my fans, or is this I'm coming out because I got to make sure I promo what I got coming up? Like I'm a little curious on this, the
That's
timeliness of
the
this.
timeliness is everything. And I watched Jamie's new film on Netflix. And I think it's something like They Clone Tyrone or something like that. But I've heard people say, look, Jamie's a clone, that this is not the real Jamie. Look, I'm not going there. I'm just glad to see what appears to be Jamie Foxx back on the scene. And yeah, it just so happened that his coming back happened to coincide with the premiere release of his new film. What great timing. What great timing.
I'll let you tell it. Rigo said that's cloning gone bad. Look, people will say anything at this point, and with all the conspiracy theories and things like that, like I'm looking at Jamie now and I'm trying to say, something doesn't quite look right. Is it really Jamie? Are there some nuances? Now I got to go back and look at other videos and say, does that look like Jamie? Is that his hairline? Is that, I don't know. His face looks a little pale.
His face looks thin. His face does look thinner.
Yeah, he does look a bit thinner, and his face has a paleness to it that, I don't know. I feel like when I put a side by side with other videos, it's a little different. But child, go ahead, Jamie. What you got to say?
That I love everybody, and I love all of the love that I got.
Well, in April, the Oscar winner was hospitalized in Atlanta, where he was filming a new comedy with actress Cameron Diaz. According to the Hollywood industry publication Variety, we still don't have a disclosure on the specific details of Fox's illness.
Yep, we're not going to get a disclosure either, because to be honest with you, whatever it is that he had going on, they're not about to release that. They're just not going to. And, you can hope if you want to, but...
So they said a film with Cameron Diaz. So this film, I don't recall the one on Netflix. I don't think Cameron Diaz was in that one. So maybe there's more than one film he was working on. Maybe. But at any rate, he's back. And you know what? Even celebrities might feel that they're invincible until they face a crisis. And it sounded like even Jamie Foxx wasn't sure about if he was going to make it through. Yeah. So imagine those people, Sandy, who don't want to do any estate planning. Like if you start talking about getting sick and getting ill, and if they get into a state like that, don't you start talking about that they might die or that they need to plan. Some people don't want to hear it, even in those circumstances.
Yeah, it's some special situation. Rigo says the clone doesn't have his voice and his mannerisms marked down yet. I'm done with you, Rigo, right now. So the reason we wanted to talk about Jamie Foxx, let me read Rigo's comment. Now Jamie Foxx and his clone are going to have to do estate planning.
Oh my God. Here we go.
So the reason we wanted to follow up on Jamie Foxx is that, there are a lot of things that happen to us in our lives that, many times we mark them as unexpected, right? But in reality, these things are not unexpected. We should expect to become ill. We should expect to have accidents. We should expect to pass away. It's going to happen. We're temporarily here.
Right.
And if the last couple of funerals that I just recently attended are a testament, we're temporarily here. And that's the message that, the pastor will make. That's the message that family and friends will always say, we're not here for the infinity.
Right.
And even if you have a belief in, the resurrection and all of the other things, you're still physically, you're not going to be here for the end. Right. So in many ways, when we plan, we have to plan with an expectation that there are things that may happen to us. And we have to understand that if we have children or a spouse, or if we have extended family members, that our planning has to consider these people. Even extended family. Like I look at myself right now and I have, unmarried aunts who may or may not have children. And I look at the situation and say, well, when my aunt passed last year, I had to step in with my mom to deal with everything. Why would that be an expectation, right? Like I'm a niece. I'm not a daughter. I'm not a sibling, but I found myself in a position where I had to step in. My aunt that just passed away this month, I'm not her child or, the sole person, but I found myself getting involved because she only had one child. And so you have to consider, if you have cousins, if you have siblings, if you have aunts and uncles, even grandparents, some of you who may still have grandparents living, you may come into a position where you may be the one tasked with handling final arrangements or stepping in to assist. So when we talk about planning, we really should talk about planning for the expected. I spent years talking about planning for the unexpected. I was like, no, it's expected.
Yeah, you're gonna die. We all know we're gonna die. You have to do you plan what you're gonna wear every day. You
Facts.
plan what you're gonna eat for dinner, what you're gonna eat for lunch, where you're gonna go out. Why wouldn't you plan to the very end?
And the planning has to take a lot of different forms, right? So when you think about your family structure, you have to ask yourself, who potentially could be in a position where I would have to step in? Who potentially could be in a position where they would have to step in for me? And then you have to ask yourself, what do you have in place? Do you have life insurance? Do you have a will? Do you have a power of attorney for your health care? Do you have a power of attorney for your financials? Have you decided what is going to happen to your real estate? If you're a property owner, and let's say you're single and have no children, well, guess what? Your parents may be the ones that have to take hold of your property. And if your parents aren't living, we're going to go to, your siblings. If you don't have any siblings, we may go to aunts and uncles or grandparents. We may go to cousins. So you have to really map out your family tree in a way that you ask yourself, what are the safeguards that I have in place to protect all pieces of this family tree?
Exactly.
Do you have that in place right now?
Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, looking at a celebrity situation, you think, wow, these are the folks that have it going on. If they are in vulnerable situations and they could end up just as vulnerable as you or I, that should tell us all that we're no different when it comes to that stage of our lives. Planning is important no matter who you are, what station in life, whether you have a little, whether you have a lot. Planning is important because it not only involves your assets and what you have, but it also involves your health care and how you will be cared for till the end. I mean, we need to think about these things and not just let them just happenstance.
And Rigo says, this is a great show and a great topic. I'm going to have to review some things. And funny enough, Rigo, that's where I am right now. I am actually reviewing some things, and not so much my own things, because I have life insurance. I have documents in place. But what I don't have is a contingency plan for all of the other people that are in my life, the other moving parts. So I'm asking the question right now, who in my family has life insurance? Who does not? How can I maybe get some life insurance to make sure that they're covered? Because if they don't want to do it, it's very important that I consider, am I able to do it? Because you may have to.
Especially if it might fall on you to care for their funeral and burial expenses anyway. If it's going to fall on your shoulders, then you need to look at that. What family members' burdens are likely to fall on me?
Yeah.
And how can I protect even against that now? See, not just my own stuff, but you might have to plan for somebody else's lack of planning. How about that?
And we have to carefully think about that tree, right? Who are those family members that don't have anyone else? I had a number of family members that were single, no children, not married, didn't have anybody else. So I had to start thinking to myself, all right, do you have life insurance? If they say no, all right, I got somebody for you. I got these couple of people you can go talk to, but you need to get something. And if you can't afford to get something, let me see how I can figure it out, right? Do you have documents in place? Do you own real estate? All right, if you own real estate, let's figure it out. Who do you want this property to go to if something happens to you? Do you have long-term care insurance? If you don't, how are we going to deal with this? Because if you have to go to a nursing home, I need to make sure you're not making too much money to qualify. Right. I need to make sure that if you are, we already start, the conversation about what types of things need to be done so that we can get ready for that instance, because there are going to be people in your family that are like, I don't want to even talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to do nothing about it. And it's like, oh, okay. Guess what? go ahead and do that prepaid funeral arrangement for that family member. You do it.
And it does happen because, I talked to someone recently who said, look, I'm about to inherit some real estate and I don't want it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't ask for this. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want the burden of it. And I'm like, but this is an asset. You're inheriting this. And he said, did I tell you that there's a mortgage for $151,000 on this property? And I'm like, oh, okay. So you don't want to deal with that part. So that's why you don't want the property.
Facts.
The thing is that when you're in a situation like that, please go talk to someone in asset and financial planning, because there are some ways to work situations like that, and it can turn out to be magical for you.
I like this comment by Rigo because he says, this is a good topic to speak at family reunions because that's where you get everybody in one place. And then you know who's got what and where you can distribute to whom. Lisa, we may need to take this show on the road because here's something important. Imagine having an instance where the whole family is together. It's a great time for you guys to iron out the family tree, get everybody's contact information, find out, some of these elders, do they own property?
Right.
Do they have, all of their account beneficiaries on all of their accounts? Do they have these contingency issues in place so that if something happens to them, there is a backup? There's somebody that can step in. There's somebody that can take hold. There's somebody that has access, right? When people pass away, the worst thing that you could leave is them trying to figure out who's the beneficiary on the account, them trying to figure out how they can access your online accounts, them trying to figure out what you had to begin with. And a lot of families, Lisa, you know this well, just like I do. A lot of families, somebody passes, nobody knows anything.
I've seen it too. Let me tell you, there's been people, somebody died and the family members, they want to grieve, but they are so mad at the dead person. They're mad because they're like, you put me in this position and I have to deal with all of this because you did nothing during your life. Now, that's not right. You're not supposed to leave people in predicaments like that.
I've had a half and half experience. So I've had about 3 different people pass over this past 2 years. And one of the things that I realized is some people don't really have full out, official planning per se. But if you have life insurance and you have a beneficiary, if you have life insurance and you've covered the contingencies and you have a bank account with a beneficiary on it, that's a plan.
That's a plan.
And that's actually a pretty solid plan as long as your beneficiaries haven't passed away.
I like life insurance. I like life insurance for funding legacies and for estate planning. Life insurance is a good planning tool.
It is. And it has to be done with some preparation because a lot of times people will put a beneficiary down and then the beneficiary passes away and they never make the change.
That's true.
Or they put a beneficiary down and they don't have any contingent beneficiaries. Right. I remember years ago, one of my aunts came to me and she was like, she wanted me to make sure that, these things were in place. And I was like, okay, cool. And she had me listed, not as like a primary or anything, but she wanted to make sure I was listed as like a contingency. That's cool. Because now she can give whatever she wants to who she wants to. But in the event that something happens to any of those people, I was listed as the extra, right?
And it's not going to probate court. I had someone contact me the other day that told me that they didn't realize that a distribution from a trust was so easy. They called me, they're at the state, their parents got a trust, right? And so they said that, I was named and what am I supposed to do? I'm nervous. And I said, you follow the instructions that were left in terms of the distributions. You mean just do exactly what it says and give each one of the children gets 20% of all the assets and just divide it that way and make an accounting so everybody knows. I said that, and no lawyers are needed. You mean I don't have to go to court? I'm like, nope. And nope. So estate planning, when it's done properly, it works. It really does work. So that's what we're on to tell you guys, that there is really no excuse for not doing it. So whether you're a celebrity, whether you're a lawyer, we all should take the time to do some estate planning for healthcare, for assets.
I'm glad you mentioned that example because I had a situation years ago where we had only done a will. We'd done a ladybird deed, or what's called an enhanced life estate deed, to handle the property. And the person passed, and the client called me back and was like, hey, what do I do now? So and so has passed now. And I was like, nothing really. Whatever the personal effects are that are listed in the will, you're going to get them. And we already did the deed for the house, and those were the only two issues. So you're free and clear at this point. You just have to go ahead and deal with the property, and make sure that that is transferred properly according to the public record. Get the death certificate, go ahead and deal with that. But there was nothing else that you had to do. He's like, no court. I'm like, no court.
It works like a gemstone when the way you plan it. So that's the point. We don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak, but we're going to say that make sure that you do your estate planning, and it's no surprise that we're going to leave here. So we are temporarily in existence. Okay. Yes. Which Absolutely. Means that we won't be here always. So look at it that way. And what's the other part of our topic that I really love, Sandy?
Well, before you get to that part, I'll say Rigo says also get PIN numbers to all accounts, bank, etc. You never get a PIN number from dead people. This way it helps the family out. That's another problem. Everything is being done online for many people right now.
Very good point. Yeah.
All right. So what you want to say, Lisa, before let me cue the music and see if you think about what you want to say here. Better get yourself comfortable. Now, it's not unpredictable in this case. It is definitely predictable.
It's
but
very predictable. But that's saying we said we're going to play off of the saying that we're temporarily in existence, and the other part of it is planning for the expected. You don't even have to plan for the unexpected, people.
You got to plan for the expected for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So I hope you have a great one. We look forward to chatting with you again here on Two Lawyers Talk Legacy, one of our feature shows here on Learn Biz, the podcast. So have a great day.
And remember,
oh boy,
if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
Jesus, Lisa got the darn song. Here we go. All right, guys, enjoy.